conversation this afternoon. It's all about boxing. And joining me in studio is Duncan Sugar Ray Kuria. Good afternoon. First things first, I know we are getting into boxing, but you're also a Manchester United fan.
Yes.
Ole Gunnar has been sacked.
That's the greatest news I've had this week.
It's been long overdue.
We've suffered for quite some time because since this season we had so much hope when we signed these big names like Cristiano. He got what he wanted, so we thought now the jigsaw was complete, and we started very well. At some point we were top of the table and Arsenal was bottom, and we were really happy. And then now Maguire started underperforming. We are conceding every other day. So I think that's where the rain started beating us, and the results have continuously been getting worse and worse. And I thought it's only fair that we give somebody else that chance, because it seems Ole has been struggling to handle the big name. The fielding is a problem. I think in terms of players, we have some of the top players in the world. And it's only a matter of getting the fielding correct, and we are going to get the results that we require to challenge for the title. Because with the kind of signings that we have had and with the team that we have, I think we should be, it's not about finishing top 4, challenging for the title.
Challenging for the title. Let's get into boxing. Jamal Cup came to a conclusion yesterday. How was the tournament in general?
The tournament was a big success. We had a very big turnout of boxers, and as well a very big turnout of fans. I think people have been thirsting for the sport for the last, 2 years. We have not had any local competition. I think the last time we had a competition was in November 2019 in Kisumu. And so it was a very good time for the boxers and the fans to be able to gather together at Charter Hall. We had a record number of boxers turning out. We had a total of 146 boxers.
That is massive.
122 male and 24 female. I think it's really massive, and we struggled to contain the program within 4 days, but we managed. And the competition was very thorough. Though we've had some challenges to do with COVID, and the sport was suspended for some time. And we only had national team training and going for international competition. But I think even the boxers who are training at the grassroots level, they are doing very well. They were able to challenge the ones who are in the national team and who have had some exposure internationally. And I think they can be proud where they are, that they came to Nairobi and gave their all. We said with the Jamal Cup, we have 2 editions. We just wanted to keep the boxers busy because it's been long since they were last in the ring. So we give them some time to measure where they are. Once you get your gauge, you know where you are, you can go back and train again. Then we go for the 2nd edition, which will be done in Kisumu in December from 8th to 11th. And then from there, we will be able to name a national team that will go for Africa Championship, which we expect to be in January, and Women World Championship, which was supposed to be in December, but was cancelled because of COVID pandemic, and will be held in Turkey in the month of March.
Attracting 146 boxers, what does that say about the sport at the moment?
The sport is without a doubt one of the fastest growing. And it's, it sounds funny when you say boxing is growing, because boxing has been there ever since, and we are the only other sport that has won medal at the Olympic other than athletics. And so I think at some point the level of boxing went down, so far down, that now we are trying to bring it up, and it seems it's going to take a bit of time. But now it shows you with the new administration under President Jamal, we have done quite some good work at the grassroots level with our program called Ndondi Mashinani. And we can see now the result of Ndondi Mashinani. The numbers that are coming from the counties are massive. And I will say even the 146 boxers that we got is just a tip of the iceberg, because if the county teams were able to get resources, they would have traveled far much bigger teams than what we got. Because most of the teams that came to Nairobi, they were facilitated by the president, Mr. Jamal. And you see now, sometimes there can be a limit with how much you can afford, because when teams are traveling all the way, maybe from Busia, from Mombasa, from across the country,
yes,
and you have to cater for all the expenses of traveling, accommodation, meals, and all that. It's a bit an expensive venture, and since we do not have sponsorship at the moment, so I'm thinking if all we had sponsorship and all teams brought all members of their team expenses accommodating,
yes,
we'll have much bigger tournaments. And it seems when we hold our tournament, we might have to increase the number of days that we are hosting the team, because even the four days that we had seem a bit inadequate, because sometimes you might have to shorten the period of the boxers are participating in the ring to be able to accommodate,
yes,
because it's taking so much time, and the boxers were quite a number. And you see now, when we go for this major championship, we do it for 2 weeks.
yes.
But now we have to squeeze within 4 days.
Yes.
And in fact, 4 we have increased. Normally we do it within 3 days.
Yes.
But now with the numbers that we're getting from the counties and our local clubs, I think now we had no option but to increase the number of days.
You've said that, the second edition will be done in Kisumu. The norm that, or rather what we are used to, probably, the first edition is done. This is the first edition, then the second edition a year later.
Yeah.
But now this is, it's a period of 1 month before the second edition.
Yeah.
Why as a federation, did you decide to have it in such a short time?
First, we've had a serious challenge because boxing had been suspended due to COVID pandemic from maybe 2020, March.
That's almost 2 years.
I remember that date because when we were just coming back from Olympic qualifier in Dakar, Senegal, when we had our first case of COVID here, and we were doing intermediate that time, and we had to stop.
Yes.
So the reason why we decided to have 2 editions is that we thought our boxers have been inactive for quite a while, almost 2 years, and it's not very useful to start a league. We are in November. Normally our league ends in December.
December, yes.
And normally we have 5 legs. So we can have maybe the 5 legs spread across the country. But now we thought, because we have a very short time and we had some assignments that we were doing. For instance, the national team had just come back from the World Championship. So we thought we push even the Jamal Cup to November, and then another one we do in December. The reason we do that was we just wanted to make our boxers be active, especially the ones who are in our local clubs. They have not been active. They have not had any competitive bout for almost 2 years.
Yes.
So we thought we arrange about 2 tournaments. They participate in them. They are able to get themselves where they are. And we thought before that probably once we give them these 2 tournaments, they get themselves, then we start the league early next year. But again, now we are having a challenge because when we were in Belgrade for the World Championship, we had a meeting with the IBA president together with the president of Africa Confederation, Dr. Mohamed Mostasen, who is based in Morocco.
Yes.
And we agreed that we are going to have Africa Championship to be held in January. And so we thought if we are going to have our league maybe starting in April next year, and maybe we have our novices, traditional novices starts in February, then March we have intermediate and Kenya Open. So by the time we are doing these international assignments that have come up, we will not be able to have selected our team.
Yes.
And so we decided these 2 tournaments, we use them to get our boxers, and also the final one will be where we'll be selecting our team. The one in Kisumu is where we'll be selecting our national team that will be able to go for the assignments that are coming early in the year when we will not have done Kenya Open.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us about Ndoni Mashinani.
Ndoni Mashinani is an initiative of our president, Mr. Jamal. He came up with a program of trying to revive boxing in the country, so that we can go back to our successful days like we were during the 70s and the 80s when Kenya was one of the top boxing nations in the world. At that time, we used only to compete with Russia, Cuba, America, and then Kenya. Yes. But I think some things went haywire, maybe due to bad leadership. And I think the guys who are the leadership at that time didn't invest much in trying to spread the sport and maybe nurture more youthful boxers coming up. Basically, I think from about early 1990s, that's where rain started beating us so hard, and especially with the coming on of the structural adjustment program, which were, I think they were pushed by the World Bank to our government, and companies or corporations that had employed boxers, they had to retrench. And at that time, most of the boxers or sportsmen who had been employed by most of the corporations, they were employed purely because of talent, not because of academic papers. And then during that time, it became clear that now we needed to, once you retrain these people, they didn't know any other way of life. They just fought boxing. And so from that time, I think the standards were continued dipping deeper and deeper. And so our current president, Mr. Jamal, when he was coming to office, he thought we need to do something to bring back boxing to where it was. And the best way of doing that was to take boxing to the grassroots. Because even during those years when we were top nation, boxing nation in the world, we used to have several clubs, like most of the social halls here in Nairobi. They were the nurseries. That's where we are generating our talent. And then once the talent has been developed by the clubs at the grassroots level, it's picked by the top employers. At that time, we had corporations like Kenya, we had Kenya Breweries, we had Kenya Postal Services, we had Kenya Post Authority, Kenya Railways, then the forces teams, KDF, Kenya Police, Kenya Prison. Those clubs, normally, traditionally, they were not producing their own talent. They were picking the talent that was being produced by several clubs at the grassroots level. So that's why our president thought we need to come in Toti Mashinani, we invest in clubs that are based at the local level, and also with the coming of the Sports Act, we need to devolve the sport. And that's why we now have counties, and with the county, which is now I think it's a standard for devolution in the country, we thought we also needed to invest in these counties, and most of the counties didn't have boxing before. Some of them, like where I work in Vihiga County, we never used to have boxing, and if we had any talented boxer from Vihiga, they had to go and participate for Kisumu because we didn't have boxing in Vihiga. But at the moment, I can tell you with this program of Ndodi Mashinani, counties like Vihiga now is producing boxers. They came here and they competed, and they were doing very well. They participated in the novices, and at least 3 boxers from Vihiga qualified, won national intermediate championship, though they can now compete for spaces in the national team during the Kenya Open. So I think it's progress. Vihiga, Busia, Kakamega, Siaya, those are counties that were never there. They didn't have boxing before, but now they have. We have new ones that are coming up like Moranga, Nyandarua, like Kipia. So I'm thinking when we go back to the grassroots with this program of Ndodi Mashinani, we just try to facilitate these clubs. Most of them, you find, we discovered they didn't have any equipment. And boxing equipment are not that expensive. For most of them, even us when we were training, me, I was born and brought up here in Dallas. We only had a punching bag and some gloves, and we could produce world beaters. And so we are thinking if we are able to facilitate the clubs at the local level to get some equipment, we can be able to bring back the glorious days of boxing. Because I think the challenge that we encountered is that you find like now in the national team, we do not have adequate depth. So you find we have some boxers, for instance, the likes of Nico Koth, our captain, who is 38 years old, and the career of a boxer at the amateur level is 40 years. So he only has
2 years.
Or 1 year. 1 year. So, okay, basically you can say he'll not be the next Olympics. Same as Elia Joy at the super heavyweight level. So, and we need to get people who can replace them at the national team level, and not just replace them, they replace them effectively such that they can be able to go to international assignments and win medals. But the problem we have is that the distance between the ones who are at the top and the ones who are maybe second and third, the gap is a bit big. It's big. So we think we need to go back to the grassroots, we produce more boxers so that every weight category can have as many boxers as possible, so that when we have this local competition, the bouts are many. Once I believe when you engage in so many bouts, you become more sharper, you become more tougher, you know how to handle different opponents and all that. And so it means when you come at the national level and you win as the national champion, you have gone through so much. You've won so many bouts against so many different opponents. And when you go at the international level, then definitely you'll be able to handle those opponents there. And of course, we are going to have even this. We also, with Ndodi Mashinani, we have the learning programs where we encourage the local coaches and local leaders to be able to do courses such as referee and judging and coaching. And coaching is very key because we really need to nurture that talent at the local level, and you give it the right basics.
Yes.
Because sometimes we have coaches at the local level who maybe you just went to a gym, you punched the bag and trained with the boxers there, and then because you're not successful now, you become a coach. And you don't do any training.
Yes.
And even if you are a former champion, even like me, I'm a former captain of the national team, but I don't call myself a coach, though I can coach.
Yes.
But you need to go through the classes and learn the
right
arts and the right thing so that you can be able to go and teach at the grassroots level and tap the right talent, nurture it up, so that when this talent comes up to the national team level, you don't give the national team coach the work of teaching basics to people who are our national champions. So that's the challenge that we wanted to address with the Ndodi Mashinani program.
Yes, we hold that thought. We take a short break, but when we come back, Duncan Kuria, Sugar Ray, will be telling us on what next for the national team. Remember, they were in the World Championship a month ago, so he'll be telling us what we should expect from the national team and, of course, Boxing Association of Kenya moving forward. That will be after the break.